You've, by your own admission now, this firm's been here for 50 years. What changes have you observed in the practice of public relations over that period of time from when you started to where we are today?
Well, some of the big change, of course, is technology. I don't think anybody dreamt of how the importance of technology would take over everything we do in our lives, really, and certainly so important in the business that we're in, which because of communication is so is our business. So naturally, technology has certainly come into play in such a major way. But I think there's a danger here too, because I think that with all this technology, we have to balance some of that with I like to call high touch. I didn't create that term. It started a few years ago with a guy named John Naisbitt, who wrote a book called Megatrends, which maybe you and I would remember. But but he talked about high tech and high touch before all the tech really came in. He was sort of way ahead of his time, and I think that I love to borrow that term because I think we all have to be so conscious of balancing that high tech with some human element, which is the high touch part of it. Because I like to talk about a guy who used to sit 50 feet from me in my office, who's no longer here, who would constantly send me emails and voicemails and never come in to discuss anything. And I think that I was constantly ask him, why don't you come in and let's talk about this? But I think too many people today want to get rid of something. They call somebody and they're shocked when you answer the phone because they'd rather leave a voicemail. They don't want to talk to anybody. So I think that's a real danger, and I think I'm guilty of it too sometimes. That I'm always amazed when somebody will answer their phone, and I just wanted to get rid of a subject and leave them a voicemail. But I think that's a danger. I like to talk about an old radio show that existed, and radio, you remember? You maybe remember radio, where there was a guy who was a door-to-door salesman, and he was an introverted guy, and he was hoping on hope no one would be home when he knocked on their door. And I think today, all this technology is a crutch where people hope no one would be home, so they don't have to confront anybody or even discuss it, let alone confront anybody.
We talked a little bit about or you did, about the challenges that you confronted, and one of the major ones. What challenges do you see facing the what would be known as the public relations profession or other executives today, and how the challenges that you are about to identify, how can they be resolved or met?
Well, I think that we might have a tendency today with all this technology to overreact and try to take out of the human element out of the whole thing. And I think that's a danger. Technology changes, as we all know, so fast that, who would have predicted, these things happening. I was supposed to give a talk, and I'm still supposed to give a talk soon about the next 50 years in public relations. And I'm reminded of the guy who gave a talk, I don't know, about 10 years ago, who predicted there'd be helicopter pads on every major building in the United States. Well, obviously it didn't happen. So I think that you can overreact to things and be influenced by this to a dangerous extent. And I don't mean I want to turn the clock back on a lot of things, because I would like to in many cases, but there is no turning the clock back. That I think that newspaper readership is going to be almost decimated in the next 10, 20 years. And I hate to see that, because I've been such a great proponent of that since I was a kid. And I've always been kind of a news junkie. And I just hate to see something like the newspapers die out. And I do see that they're having so many problems. Young people just aren't reading them. And it's true, you can get things online almost everywhere you go, but it's not the same. So it's again not letting technology rule everything. To try to keep the human element is going to be an extremely important thing for all of us.